Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV Alternative Media Television. It is of course July 23rd, 2014, and according to the Times of India, Air India flight was 90 seconds away when missile struck Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. The Ministry of Civil Aviation's claim that there was no Air India flight near the ill-fated Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777 when it was shot down over Ukraine on Thursday appears misleading. An Air India Dreamliner flight going from Delhi to Birmingham was in fact less than 25 kilometers away from the Malaysian aircraft, a distance covered by a Dreamliner or Boeing 777 in about 90 seconds when the latter was hit. Because of this closeness, the local Ukrainian air traffic controller asked the AI pilots to try and establish contact with pilots of the Malaysian aircraft who had stopped responding to its calls. Now here's where it gets really interesting, folks. Minutes before the crash caused by a missile strike, the AI pilots, the Air India pilots, had also heard the controller give the Malaysian aircraft MH17 what is called a direct routing. This permits an aircraft to fly straight instead of tracking the regular route, which is generally a zigzag track that goes from one ground-based navigation aid or waypoint to another. Direct routing saves fuel and time, etc., etc. This is where it gets very interesting, folks. MH17 was routed in a different direction, off course, off its normal course, just moments before it was struck, allegedly by a missile that was shot from the ground. Whether or not this was Russian, pro-Russian separatists, as the mainstream media wants you to believe, or it was the Ukraine government and their forces, doesn't even matter. What this tells us, folks, is that air traffic controllers directed flight MH17 in the direction of the missile. And we have to question, was this intentional? Is this, as I asked many of these questions in our critical question video, which is up to 100,000 views and counting, was this a false flag event? Is it being used to demonize Vladimir Putin and engage the United States in a new war, the new Cold War with Russia? Again, the demonization of Vladimir Putin. Just minutes before the crash caused by a missile strike on the ground, the Air India pilots confirmed that we're flying near the jet. And again, this does not corroborate with reports that we were getting earlier from the Ministry of Civil Aviation. It makes it look like they're caught in a lie. Just moments before, Air India pilots heard instructions coming from the ground for MH17 to change its flight path, to change its standard route. And it was shot down just moments later, almost 300 people dead, innocent civilians, including children. Again, if this isn't damning, folks, I don't know what is. This is according to the Times of India. Again, why was the route changed by air traffic controllers? Why was this plane flying over a known war zone, a conflict zone over the Ukraine in the first place? Now we know, according to corroborating evidence, the Times of India, that air pilots on an Indian flight, which were not too far away, and again, this makes it look like the Civil Aviation's claim that there was no Air India flight near the ill-fated Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777 during the shoot-down, looks like they were caught in a lie. Get this out everywhere, folks. This is absolutely amazing evidence. You know, not only are we digging up more facts and waiting on independent investigators for the truth, hopefully we'll get the truth on this flight. Hopefully we get a true independent investigation, but we have wars waging all over the world right now. The globe is literally on fire, whether or not this is Ukraine, it is literally flight MH17, or this is Gaza. Again, why was this plane directed off its main course? Is this and was this a false flag terror attack? Is it being utilized by the New World Order and global governments to justify war? Again, folks, you need a scapegoat to justify a new war. This has happened before in history. There are many historical examples. Whether or not this is the Gulf of Tonkin, or it's the Lusitania, or it's anything else for that matter. Again, folks, you need a scapegoat to justify war. We have a report from CNN as global powers push Gaza, and the second part of its leg of its operative, its invasion of Gaza, the global powers pushing, according to the mainstream media, for a ceasefire. One mother reaches out, says as the bloody battles pushed up tragic death tolls on both sides, world powers held a flurry of diplomatic meetings Wednesday aimed at halting the fighting in Gaza. I reported earlier that there's almost 600 people dead, 4,000 plus people injured. And this is coming from a mother who had one of her children killed as a result of the conflict. And it always amazes me how people want to point fingers at both sides. And they want to use things like religion to justify war and murder. Well, you know what I say to that, folks? I say, whatever happened to love thy neighbor? Whatever happened to that? And if you use religion to justify war and murder, you're a hypocrite, my friends. Perhaps the most powerful message came from a woman whose son's death played a role in the sparking of the current fighting. Your children and our children, nobody should really go through what we're going through now, said Rachel, whose son Naftali was among 3 Jewish teens kidnapped and killed on the way home from school in the West Bank last month. Israel blamed Hamas. Later, a Palestinian teen was killed in what Israel calls a revenge attack. Israel has indicted an adult and 2 minors for the killing. Again, pointing fingers at both sides is the equivalent, in my opinion, getting caught up in the left-right paradigm, folks. Again, using things like religion to justify war and murder. Whatever happened? Whatever happened to love thy neighbor? Here's a question I had earlier, and I put it out via my Twitter stream on a tweet. Make sure to subscribe. I've got quite a growing following, and I put a lot of commentary there that you just don't get in my videos. Things are popping up in my head. And I asked this question, I mean, what's the difference between Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu? You know, I always hear things like, you know, Vladimir Putin's former KGB. Yeah, that's right. He's former counterintelligence. He was an elite with the KGB. Once a KGB, always a KGB. And I hear this all the time to demonize Vladimir Putin. Well, how come we never hear commentators point out the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, was IDF, was Israeli Defense Forces, a part of their elite unit? You know, the reality here, folks, not only was Putin KGB, Benjamin Netanyahu in his earlier years, IDF. Both of these men are counterintelligence. Both of these men are a part of their own propaganda machines. But you only hear the West paint a picture of the devil in regards to Vladimir Putin. And they paint the picture of Benjamin Netanyahu in the light. Again, what's the difference between these two characters? Both a part of elite units, Putin a part of the KGB in his earlier years, Benjamin Netanyahu part of the IDF in his earlier years. Both counterintelligence. Putin engage in a heavy battle in Ukraine. Netanyahu engage in a heavy battle at his border in Gaza. What's the friggin' difference? The only difference, folks, is the propaganda spewed by the mainstream bullshit media. That's the only difference, and this is just one comparison. Again, you can look up all this for yourself, folks. You can read the biographies of people like Vladimir Putin. You can read the biographies of people like Benjamin Netanyahu. This is all about a propaganda war. And again, evidence coming to light from the Times of India that an Air India flight confirmed that just moments before the downing of flight MH17, it was directed by air traffic controllers intentionally off its known flight path. And moments later, it is shot down out of the sky. My question to you is why? Is this a false flag? I'm Christopher Green. Get this out everywhere. Make it viral. Hard hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor.